Here's the thing for me that I want to mention. Recently I decided to go back into my gaming catalog, and one of the games that I'm really glad that long time ago I got at a cheap price and played once more is Middle Earth: Shadow of War. And you know what? I'm really glad I did. I actually really do like this game. It is seriously fantastic. Now, look, a lot of critics and maybe some fans like to give it a 7 out of 10 kind of score, even 7.5. I think it deserves 8 out of 10 or even 9 out of 10. Like 8 or higher is really the right score for me. Now, granted, I get it. Initially, there was some backlash regarding the recent addition, not recent, but random addition, I should say, of microtransactions. I mean, for a single player open world type game, I think that was really weird and it did turn off a lot of people. So since then, like, it was completely removed and the game is better for it. So yeah, the whole microtransactions thing was kind of weird, especially since at a time when other companies did upset a lot of the consumers for microtransactions, whether in sports games or shooting games. So that was a wise choice at the time. So definitely the gameplay I thought like really improved significantly from its previous game back in 2014, Shadow of Mordor. Shadow of War was released in 2017, so there was a 3 year gap between both games. So again, like gameplay significantly improved in so many ways that like the flow of the movement, the combat, it's just really great. Like it really gets you into it. Story wise, from beginning to end, it's all right. It's still pretty good, mostly solid. I would say like it's still on par from Shadow of Mordor. I thought like both are still pretty good, pretty solid. So that's fine by me. Even graphically, I thought like even graphically there was more of an uptick. Even the character models look better, especially Italian. And then like recently, I went back to Shadow of Mordor, and I still like the graphics. I don't know. I was still surprised how even impressive the graphics of Mordor really were, you know. And if there's anything I like about the Nemesis system, which is a really unique and somewhat innovative gaming mechanic that since then has been patented so that it's not used so much in other games, it's like these personal interactions with enemies. I mean, like, it's kind of fascinating. You meet like enemy orcs, whether they're captains, war chiefs, or even overlords, right? And I don't know, like the writing team like came up with all these like seriously well clever dialogue. Like how is it that they came up with like all these lines for all these orcs? It's really amazing, the algorithm, the AI enemies, how they're used. And you know what? It's like even the battles between them are more personal. Yes, there are stats about strengths and weaknesses, but now either they can betray you, defy death, uh, even ambush you randomly, or if they have a blood brother, they'll take vengeance on you. Or even like one of the best parts, you can send like as when you recruit an orc and force them as you dominate their mind, you recruit them. You can make them their spy, infiltrate war chiefs, and eventually betray them. So like now the battles become much more tougher and personal. Like as once more, even when you fight orcs, the more they come at you, the more overwhelming. So I like how that can be really challenging as well. You know, and of course there's that whole obligatory skill tree, which is fine by me. If there's anything, I like how you acquire a major skill first, and then there's like these other uh, skills that modifies the main one. You know what I mean? Like these little modifications for a skill that you need to acquire with a skill point that modifies the ability that you have, and like you can change it. You can only pick one like out of the two or three. You'll know what I mean when you like see some sort of gameplay footage on YouTube. It's really cool as it allows you to customize sort of your play style and how you deal with the enemies in different worlds. Okay, so if there's one thing I sort of had an issue with, I would say it's the design of Shelob. Shelob is like this famous spider, well-known spider creature. I think from the Middle Earth novels and all that, especially in the Lord of the Rings trilogy films, I think in the second and third film, if I'm correct. Just more like this giant spider. So it was a bit weird. Like the Shelob design was more of like this woman-like, almost human figure, you know, and even like seductive in an evil way. It's kind of a bit weird. But if you do like the side quest of collecting Shelob memories, seeing the past and future, you do see that transformation. But I just thought that was a bit weird, the Shelob character design. Unlike before, previous game, 2 regions to go through, conquer, find collectibles and all that. There's still the collectibles and all that good stuff. This time, there's 5 regions to go to. So the world of Mordor is really expanding in this game that I really liked. And if there's a new gameplay addition I really liked is not just building up your army, but upgrading your sieges. That way, because like eventually you're gonna have to conquer fortresses. You know, like as Talion, you have to have a higher level up to be powerful enough to take down fortresses and conquer them, take down the overlords, build up your army, strengthen your army. So I really like how that's really cool. Like you can conquer an army and take over fortresses. You're gonna have to eventually to advance and progress through the story. That's something that I really liked. I thought that was really cool. So I'm glad there wasn't the whole microtransactions thing. What else? I also like some of the expansion packs. I thought that was pretty cool. There are 2 single player expansions playing different characters, and I liked how there's even expansions throughout the regions in the open world, like outlaw and slaughter tribes. You know, there's something, one tribe called the outlaw, another called the slaughter tribes. You know, there's like enemy captains, so you could also dominate or kill them as well. And I think that was pretty cool, just adding more of a challenge. You know, I thought that was pretty cool. So in addition to riding and dominating 2 creatures known as Caragors and Grogs from previously, you know, that gameplay and mechanic is back once more. And in addition to that, there are these dragon type creatures. They're called drakes. You could dominate a drake, fly with a drake, and then either use like ice or fire power, breathing ice and fire. So I thought that was that's something that I really like. Overall, like my impressions of this game are really high. It is definitely like really replayable. I like especially, you know, another way of like when you're in the mid-air, you can aim with your bow and arrow, and as you're aiming with your bow and arrow mid-air, you know, you can slow down in mid-air. So I thought that was really cool as well. You know, a lot of these new skills additions I really liked. If there's another issue regarding how the gameplay is, I thought a little weird how some of the skills that players are familiar with before that they had to acquire, you have to do that again. You know what I mean? It would have been better if, like, you know, Shadow Strike, for example, was available by default, but you have to progress through and acquire it again with the skill points. But otherwise, it's just a minor issue, but it's not the biggest of problems. It's just something that I've observed, but it's not a problem at all. It doesn't really change the fact that this is a fantastic game. I think one that's just underappreciated, but maybe initial impressions may have turned off some people, especially the whole microtransactions thing. But yeah, I mean, if you got it on, I mean, if you have a powerful enough PC, you know, it may go up above 30 FPS, but even if you have the newer PlayStation, Xbox consoles, like, you know, I think this is one to get, especially like at a very affordable, cheap price, you know. So you probably know about the best of lists of some other games, but this one is not awful. This is a must-have in my humble opinion. You got to get Shadow of War.